What's happening? It's good to be back. So this is my last sample from Farmer Leaf, and I cannot quite tell the spelling, but I think it's LIU RIPE. Either way, this is not something that he typically does often. This, I think, was probably both material that he sourced and then also found the producer to actually do it, because I don't think he does any of the fermentation himself. Again, not a good representation, I don't think, of what Farmer Leaf really is, but still something I wanted to try from him, just because I know he likes to play around with different things. So anyway, this is what it looks like. It's really dark, and being that it's a 2021, I don't know how they got it to ripen this fast. That's not I mean, it happens, of course, but like, typically ripes are older than that. It is a little smoky, which I expect. Definitely some sort of like chocolate notes, I think. And then this is the cold brew. This is 24 plus hours. Looks so pretty. Look at that. All right. I do already have kind of my favorite ripe already, and so I am curious to see how this one compares. And again, I am using a lot of material for this cold brew as well as the hot brew. From my understanding, Farmer Leaf is supposed to start sending out smaller sample sizes, which I think is a good move, because someone like myself, if you give me 25 grams of tea, I'm just gonna break it in half, and it's really too much material. But you know, I think it really helps determine, you know, the quality of the tea, because you know it's gonna be really strong, so you kind of can't. There's no excuses, you know what I mean? All right. So that's the brew. Really, even with the light, color still isn't there. But yeah, very cognac brown for sure. Somewhat clean. I don't see I think it's just the light. There's a little plant material there. Yeah, a little plant material there. Not a whole lot though. Fairly clean brew. Yeah, it's good. It's what I like in a ripe. It has a little bit of smokiness in there, but it's very refreshing, you know. I love taking these cold brew ripes out on hikes and things like that, because for whatever reason, it is just very refreshing, very cooling. Again, kind of smoky, a little leathery. Yeah, smoky, leathery, cooling, very refreshing. I'm gonna get a little bit more actually. So I want to see if I can tease anything else out of this. Yeah, no, that's it. Not overly smoky, just enough. Like it really is a really good ripe. Um, it really is. I really like it. And comparing this to, let's see if I can pull it out fast. Here we go. Yeah, comparing it to this, which comes from I forget, some tourist friendly place. I think it's the it doesn't say right away, but anyway, it's some tribe in China. It looks like the Waiyao village, I think. But anyway, comparing it to that though, it's really good. I really like it. The other thing that I have to say is, again, I was shocked by the year. I mean, 2021, and you already have a ripe. I did not expect it to be so close to the 2008 that I've been drinking the last couple of years. So that's a big deal, because there's always questions surrounding whether or not aging a ripe Pu-erh does anything at all. And in this case, I can say that it hasn't lent much to the flavor profile at all, having it aged. And so that's good information to carry forward. All right. All right, so got a nice rinse on this thing. Oh wow, wet leaf. So it's really interesting. I wish I had my fork with me. And the cake breaks up really easy just on that first rinse. So I wish I can pull out what the smell is, but it's sort of like bread. Yeah. Yeah, definitely bread. And I'm trying to think, is it like one of those I'm trying to think, is it one of those dinner rolls, or is it something more sweet or something more sour? But it's definitely not like sourdough. Definitely not like sourdough. It's very much closer to like wheat bread or something like that. Yeah, maybe like wheat or yeast. More like a dinner roll, I say. And I think that's fairly common with these things. But I don't think that my 2008 has much of a yeast or bread flavor. So that's interesting. Again, maybe that has something to do with the age. I really don't know. So again, using a lot of material. Not going to steep this very long at all. And just want to see what I can pull out of here, and then play with it from there. Yeah, that bread doughy smell is very prominent. Like right away, it just hits you. That's really interesting. Kind of now that the heat is dissipating, I'm pulling in some sweetness, like maybe I want to go with raisin, but man, I hate using the same thing over and over again. But I think raisin is probably, or dates is just the closest thing I have in my memory to relate this to. But it's definitely very like bready. Definitely definitely some sort of fruit sweetness. Maybe raisins or dates. Again, first brew on the hot brew. Not a lot of plant material, but definitely some in there. Very clean, very thick though. Again, using a lot of material, so I'm sure that has something to do with it. See what we get. Well, not what I was expecting at all. Yeah, that that kind of bready flavor definitely comes through. And again, I don't know if it's just the material itself, or if it's the aging that makes a difference, which makes me want to kind of play around a little bit more. I will say this. I do prefer my 2008 because there's more of that smokiness that I really like. And then on the hot brew, I'm gonna have to go back and see if I've done a video on that one or not. But yeah, it's definitely more smokiness. And then on the hot brew, there's more of those dark colors and tones and flavors that I prefer. And again, I'm curious now to know if whether or not it's the aging, because typically that's what aging does. It mellows out the tea, and then it imparts deeper, darker, sweeter flavors. And so it makes sense that a young ripe won't have as dark and deep sweet flavors. And maybe this bready thing that I'm getting is something similar to like a young raw shane, right? It's just because it's young material. It has more of a like grassy, fresh flavor, right? And so I think the way that grassiness is reflected in this ripe is that bready, bread dough, fermentation, right? Flavor. Not bad though. I do like it. I mean, definitely for sure, the cold brew is a really good substitute for the 2008 that I have. I'm always concerned that at some point, some of these teas won't be available to me, and I'll have to find new favorites. And so that's kind of the point in doing this. I'm gonna steep this second infusion much longer and just see what more I can get out of this thing, to see if maybe a longer steep time pulls out those darker, deeper, richer, sweeter flavors, or does it really, I don't know, enhance the bread. I don't know if that's even possible, right? But I am curious because I did for sure get some sort of like raisin dates smell from the wet leaf, and so I wonder if there's a way to get that that flavor in the brew. All right, and I'm really agitating this water too, and so what plant material I get in the brew, I think will be very telling of the quality of the material as well. And so when I say that, what I mean is when the leaves are picked, you want them to be hand picked, or if they're machine picked, you at least want it to be whole leaves, right? And that's the reason why I don't break up the cake very much. I just kind of put the whole thing in because I want to get as many whole leaves as possible, because I think it gives you a better flavor. When the leaves are really broken up, like the tea that you get in tea bags, it lends itself to getting very bitter, and you lose a lot of the subtlety in the flavor. These are some decent leaves in here for sure. Again, this cake breaks up very, very easily, and it looks like the leaves are really big, unless this is more than one. Let's see if I can unfurl this. Which typically on a Pu-erh, you're not able to unfurl the leaves so soon. So on this one, it's really really loose, and these leaves are coming apart fairly easily. But yeah, one big whole leaf for sure. All right, now this is the color of a ripe. Dark, black, syrupy, you know. All right, let's see what we get out of this one. And I mean, just a lot of activity. It's not clear, so I can't tell. Oh yeah, there we go. So again, a little bit of plant material. It's really hard to tell because it's so dark, but didn't seem like a whole lot. See what we get here. Wow. So the breadiness has definitely been enhanced and has turned to a bit of a bitterness. Yeah, and so I don't have a lot of experience with young ripes. I do have quite a bit of experience with aged ripes, and so far, as far as I can tell, there is a difference in aging these things. Again, I would need more experience, honestly, with young ripes to make that assertion, but it appears that the aging does impart some flavor differences, because this one, like I said, it is good. I like it, but it is different than the ripes I've had in the past, because it's not as dark as far as like caramel, chocolate, you know, that sort of thing. You can still taste its age. You know, it's still young for sure. And like I said, that bready, flavor profile has definitely turned into a little bit of bitterness. And it's important to note that typically you ripen and ferment tea to get rid of the bitterness. Okay, and so the fact that there's bitterness still there, again, tells me that it has to be the age of the material that's giving me that. So not bad. A very interesting mouthfeel. Like it touches just a bit of those sides and underneath my tongue on the bitterness part that I really like. There's not any bitterness on the back of the tongue. It's all like under and on the sides. So I really like that part. Definitely feel the energy from this tea. It's only been, what, 3 steepings, the cold brew and 2 of the hot brew. And even though it is warm today and this is hot water, I still feel like, ooh, you know. Again, I think that's something very, very common in young material, is that it still has quite a bit of caffeine content. I feel like if I kept drinking this, at some point it's going to be too much, you know? I definitely feel that way. I'm going to really enjoy the cold brew. I'm going to probably take this out with me just to see if it, you know, has any sort of spoilage or anything like that. But again, very refreshing. It has the smokiness that I really like from a ripe. It can maybe be a bit more smoky, but you know, when it comes to that kind of stuff, you don't want to play around too much. You know, when it's good, it's good, right? And I do think, again, that the young material is interesting. Is this a tea that I'll serve to my mom? I think that if she tasted this, she'll think, yeah, this is definitely some strong tea, but I think she'll want to add some sort of sugar to it. Is this a tea that I will try to impress my tea friends with? Again, I need more experience with young ripes because maybe there's something special about this young ripe that is not inherent in all young ripes, and I just don't know it. But with that being said, with my experience, this is not something that I would necessarily try to impress tea friends with. But I think it is interesting, though. I really do think it's interesting, and I'm really glad that I got a chance to sample this, because it may mean that in my near future I will sample some more and play around with some young ripes, because I think that I just think it's interesting, you know. Aged sheens, to me, taste better. They just do. I think overall they're more interesting. But ripes do have a place at the table. And so whether or not young ripes ever become a staple of my, you know, tea diet, I don't know. I doubt it. But it is interesting. And that's what's important.